This is SciByte, episode 63 for September 18th, 2012. Hi everyone, and welcome to SciByte, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly science podcast. Live every Tuesday evening and fresh Wednesday mornings over at jupiterbroadcasting.com. My name is Chris, and joining us every single week is our host, Heather. Hey there, Heather.
Hey there, Chris.
Hey, Heather, happy science to you.
Happy science.
What do we have coming up in today's episode?
Today we're going to take a look at keeping pavements cool, snows on Mars, volcanoes, painless shots, tooth protection, updates on the Higgs-Boson, spacecraft updates, and as always, take a peek back into history and up in the sky this week.
Wow, from Martian snow to volcanoes. That sounds like a packed episode. What do you say we jump into the news?
Let's go.
You know, Heather, I was curious. What is our first news story this week?
There is a new cool pavement technology that can make parking lots cool. Literally, not just like the cool awesome, but like the cool temperature.
Oh, really? So maybe so that way, because they're like, when I think of pavement, like in the summertime, and it's all, especially like the dark top stuff, the black top stuff. Yes. Oh man, that gets hot.
Yeah, I grew up in East Texas. You could fry literally eggs.
Yeah, and I have heard that the scientists actually, at least some scientists actually think that a portion of the Earth's warming could actually be coming from all of the freaking cement we have everywhere.
Well, I mean, in a typical day, in a city, about 35 to 50% of the surface area is pavement.
And that's
half of that is street, another 45% parking lots.
And that's never been like that before, right? I mean, think about it in the last.
We're getting more. Yeah, we're getting more and more pavement here.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference.
Yeah, it's reflecting 30 to 50% of the sun's energy back up, and it's making things a lot warmer. Obviously, in the city, and it's hot to walk on, and it makes your car hot. And so, most of these new constructions and roads you see are all the dark materials. Dark pavement. Absorbs almost all the sun's energy, heats up, warms the local air. So there's a couple of scientists in Berkeley who have been studying cool pavement technologies. Now, they've had something like this for roofs, where they make it lighter color roofs, and it keeps the air inside the house and outside the building cooler because it reflects more of the sun's energy. Now, these pavements can either be made by, traditional pavement materials that are just lighter in color, like cement color concrete, or cool colored coatings or surface treatments. The end goal would be something that the pavement would reflect, a little over a third of the reflection.
So it really isn't some sort of like fancy fiber optics or anything like that. It really is just we made it a different color.
Mostly, yeah. It's not
kind of anticlimactic, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is fairly anticlimactic. Now, there's a little bit more to it than just paint.
Okay.
So, seal coats. You'll see after winter, they go through and they, will kind of recoat a parking lot, sort of fill in all of the holes and, kind of re-seal in all the rain and the snow, which kind of cleans it off. And, so the idea is maybe what they've gone through, and they have these, a exhibit essentially, and it has different coatings on different parts of this parking lot. It's 6 different coatings donated by 2 manufacturing, and so they're going to do is they're going to monitor the reflecting values and the temperature of these like 20 by 24 square foot pavement sections. They're in different parts of a residential street on the UC Davis campus. So they've got them spread out, and they're just kind of going to be out there to the elements. They're going to kind of be able to see how they degrade with sun and rain. So things, go by, and how they can get some scientific analysis. Chicago has run something like this, and they've already reported some energy savings because of solar reflective pavements, just in alleys. I mean, if you think about it, just a couple of degrees across an entire city, you start changing the colors and it starts not being quite as hot. Just those couple degrees can reduce peak power demand, reduce the energy load from air conditioning.
Reduce the requirement for air conditioning completely.
Yeah.
I mean, that can make a huge, just keeping things cooler. People using less fuel to run their air conditioners, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So there's this group, and it's not just white. Actually, it'd be funny that you think, okay, we'll just paint everything white. That's not 100% how it goes. There's actually different colors, like green, blue, yellow, and they all have different reflectance values. And some of them may look dark, but they're actually reflecting more of the infrared spectrum.
Ah, I see. Very clever.
So I was looking at different, parts of the spectrum, saying what consists of the most power, what's producing the most, heat energy, how can we reflect that back? And they're looking at studies, they say, they may assist policymakers and pavement professionals. Now, I'm kind of weird in that I'd rather that just be something of a plus. So that, there is an initial cost premium, but hopefully over the lifespan of the product, you'll have with this coating, you'd have durability, less need for, maintenance.
So this coating will help prevent like aviator continuity in our chat room is suggesting that tire tracks will be a big issue, dirt on the bottom of cars, oil drips, and things like that.
That is certainly, that's part of what they're looking at. That's why they have this exhibit study just like essentially in the wilds of a city.
To see if it can be done. Because you know what, honestly, looking at this picture that they have here in the article, there are tire tracks on it, and they're still using it. Shoot, there's tire tracks on that thing. That's what he's checking for right there.
Yeah, that's part of it. Check, how it gets degraded from cars, from all this kind of stuff, so you can see how realistic it is, and so they can start fiddling with the components and how it's put together and how it's put down, so they can maybe have this ideal combination of how much it reflects and how much it has durability and how easy it is to put down, kind of bring these all together.
Yeah.
And one of the big places that this will come together is like schoolyards.
Oh, that actually seems like a genius, or any kind of not even schools, but private company lots where they're a little more kept up and maybe not as much traffic and things like that. Think of like a company like Microsoft, right, which has tons and tons and tons of parking space.
Yeah. So all those parking spaces are just in the middle of campus where there's a lot of sidewalks, or I immediately thought of schoolyards because you couldn't really have much concrete where I grew up. East Texas is very hot in the summer.
Oh, okay. See, that's never a problem I've had up here in Washington.
Well, yeah, I imagine. Probably less than East Texas. So, 100 degrees, in the shade and the sun's beating down, you stay away from what's concrete.
Yeah.
You stay away what's vaguely dark or metal. You're kind of just sitting in the middle of a grassy field.
Right.
But if they had it, yeah. But if they had something cooler that you could actually, get near, or you'd be willing to sit down and survive on, then that's another issue. Then maybe they have a different combination that's not so hardy for, tires over a period of time, but can you do it over maybe 4 schoolyards or something that's smaller, or sidewalks, or there's a whole bunch of different ways you can take this.
Yeah. And I would suspect too that you would see more and more rooftops. It's not too uncommon now, but I would think you'd see more and more, because they on their website they specifically call out formulas for rooftops.
Yeah.
Now,
I was thinking about that, and then I was like, okay, how do you gray your roof out? Because it's in winter. Now I'm in Colorado. You're in Washington, so we're like, we need the dark roof now.
Yeah.
We need to suck in all the heat, possibly get some of the snow off our roof.
Right. Flip the switch, that way the roof color changes.
Yeah, suck in all the heat possible, and then in the summer, bonk, I need a white roof.
Very cool. Well, any other thoughts on that one?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I'll let you know how it goes, Heather. I'll install this on my house.
Okay.
And I'll report back.
All right.
I'll test it out. All right. Well, why don't we take a quick break here and talk about how you can keep the fine shows at Jupiter Broadcasting coming to you every single week. You know, it takes quite a bit of work, energy, and money to make these shows every single week. And you probably noticed we don't have a ton of sponsorships in our shows. And that's okay. That's okay. We all like that. And one of the things I talk about often, but it's really an important system here, is our affiliate links. And we've had some new listeners who've emailed in with some common questions, so I just want to bang through those really quick. Yes, the donations are awesome, and we have more than just the ones that are on the front page. You can also go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/donate, and there's a couple different Amazon and PayPal options there. But I think what people find the most convenient for them is the affiliate system at the bottom of our website. We have links down there for Amazon and Netflix, and Netflix actually emailed us and said, hey, you guys had a bunch of people sign up for Netflix, and then nobody has been signing up recently. So it's because I haven't said anything for a while. So I'm officially reminding people we do have a Netflix affiliate down there. So if you're thinking about grabbing something for the holidays for somebody, I have made, like Netflix was the perfect gift for Dad one year, and you can do that online through our affiliate link. We also have them down there for Newegg and Best Buy and ThinkGeek and Audible, which I love. I just got done with a fantastic Audible book, and I just got another one. I just got my credits, and I love it. Audible has some big sales going on right now, actually. And then we also have one for Gamefly and Code School. I love both those sites. Gamefly is, everybody knows what Gamefly is. It's like Netflix for games, and Code School is a really great way to learn by doing, you know, if you want to learn Ruby or Git, something like that. We also have the Chrome and Firefox extensions, which will just automatically enable our affiliates whenever you browse one of the sites that participates. However, I thought we'd give you a pick this week. Heather picked this one out. It's just pure genius. I'll probably mention it again later on in the year as a holiday pick, but Heather said, Chris, did you see that Indiana Jones just came out, the whole complete set on Blu-ray? I was like,
yes.
Oh my gosh, Heather, great pick. Great idea. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Indiana Jones on Blu-ray is probably one of the most important things in the world. So I would recommend everybody go get it.
Supposed to.
Yeah. And if you really want to show somebody you love them, get them this. But you probably don't want to get them that and not get yourself a copy. This is going to be the conflict I'll have. So I'll be getting one for myself this year. I'll be getting one for Dad this year. And I'll be getting one for my uncle this year. I'm going to sell a few of these. I love using Amazon. I'm an Amazon Prime subscriber. If you shop at Amazon a lot, please consider getting our affiliate extension or using the links at the bottom of our site. And maybe you want to grab Indiana Jones. Why not? Indiana Jones on Blu-ray just came out today. Came out today.
Yeah.
Oh, I want that. Oh, I got to click the buy now thing. I got to do that. Oh man, I'll put a link to that in the chat room too if people want to grab that, because that looks. I got to believe that. You know what's awesome too is they've added a bunch of stuff to it. I was reading through some of it on before we got started on the pre-show, and I was like, oh my gosh, it looks really good. So, anyways, we'll have a link to that in the show notes if you folks want to grab that. All right, Heather.
All right.
It's time for the news bite. Oh, Creepy Uncle. Creepy Uncle reminded me of probably what our pick is going to be next week in the chat room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, Heather, what is our first story in the news bite?
Speaking of the weather we were talking a few minutes ago, it's snowing dry ice on Mars.
Oh, cool.
So the spacecraft orbiting Mars has actually detected carbon dioxide snow falling on the red planet. So it's like the only body in the solar system known to show this specific weather phenomenon.
Oh, okay.
Now, Mars has 2 poles. You may or may not, be able to picture it in your mind as well as I do off the top of my head. But it has 2 poles. One of them is water ice, similar to what we have. The other one is carbon dioxide or dry ice. So it's got 2 different poles. So they spotted this, the carbon dioxide snow falling over that pole. So it's kind of that area, which helps possibly, explain why it's so persistent. They're not quite sure how that dry ice cap is just sustaining this long.
Ah.
So, it's the only place where the frozen topside exists year-round on the planet's surface. So the question is it freezing out of the air at ground level? Because carbon dioxide is a huge chunk of the Martian atmosphere.
Okay.
Is it coming back from snowfall? Is there, some depositing of the snow? So there's a whole bunch of different things that are was kind of going on with this. So they were able to, what they did was the instrument measures brightness in 9 different wavelengths, visible, infrared, so that they can learn different characteristics of the particles and the gases in the atmosphere, like size, concentration. And they were able to kind of make out a cloud. One of the clouds was like 300 miles wide. Now they're not
that's a big cloud.
They're not like thick, like, our big fluffy clouds. They're very thin.
Okay.
But it was very large, and they were able to, see that it was made of carbon dioxide ice particles. And then when they started, as it orbited around the edge of the planet, they were able to look sort of at an angle so they could see between the cloud and the surface of Mars. And they're able to see that there were ice particles extending from the cloud all the way to the surface. So that's how they're able to, to detect. They're like, okay, well, that kind of means snow was falling on Mars.
Oh, that is so cool.
So it has this, dry ice cap. Now there's carbon dioxide snow falling there. The Phoenix lander from, a year or two ago, it landing on the North Pole.
Okay.
It actually saw water-based snow. So it was able to see that. So we know that there's snow on that side. There's carbon dioxide snow on the on this side of the planet. So
Mars has got a lot going on, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, it's cold. I mean, dry ice requires like minus 193 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty cold there. But
yeah.
It's hosting 2 different types of snowfall in these different areas of Mars. So in a completely unbiased way, it's pretty cool.
I agree. Well, that's that makes me want to go to Mars in the snow. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
All right,
might be a little cold.
What's our next story?
The island that was created 3,600 years ago when a volcano erupted. Second largest blast in human history. It's swelling with lava. So this is an eruption that created an island of Santorini. This is the one that they think might have destroyed the Minoan civilization on nearby Crete, which may have started the myth of Atlantis. So it was a very large explosion. Quite large. The Santorini locals in this last year began to suspect something last year was happening with the volcano. Wine glasses vibrated and clinked in cafes. Tourists were smelling strange gases.
Something's going on.
Yep. So in January of 2011, there were more than 1,000 small quakes. Now, most of them they wouldn't be able to feel.
But the systems can still pick them up.
Yeah, the systems can still fill it up.
Yeah,
and satellite radar was actually able to kind of reveal what that was coming from.
Oh.
It was a rush of, quote unquote rush of molten rock swelling in the magma chamber below the city.
Uh-oh.
And it's, 350 to 700 million cubic feet.
Uh-oh.
Like 15 times the volume of the London Olympic Stadium that you may have seen on TV or online.
Whoa.
So it's forced part of the island's surface to actually rise like 3 to 5 inches. Like the whole island. Well, no, that's like the whole island is pushed up. That is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, it has been coming back down a little bit.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes. This is not like end of the world. This is kind of one of those headlines and everyone fears and flees and takes pictures of Santorini right before it blows up. No, this is not quite that. So it has been slowing down in the last few months. And the volcano itself has been pretty quiet for like 60 years. Nothing really kind of indicates that there's any imminent eruption going on. It's probably going to be quiet for another few years, another decades. Volcanoes are tough because you don't really know the life cycle of these things or exactly what's going to happen with them. And
they work on a very, very different time scale.
Yeah. I mean, the last one that this oozed lava was in 1950, and it covered about a few tennis courts. That's it.
The chat room says they don't have much love or sympathy for people who built their homes on top of a volcano. Well, but like Heather's saying, it's been a very stable volcano for a long time.
Yeah, it massive explosion. It's one of those that's pyroclastic clouds. So it's more ash and hot air goes out, takes everything out, and then it settles down. I mean, it should happen like every 20,000 years.
They keep saying that we're due here in the Pacific Northwest to have Mount Rainier erupt. And we had Mount St. Helens erupt 31 years ago.
Yeah.
So, if there's ever a week where there's not a SciByte,
I'll know.
Maybe,
I'll check the science news.
If you hear
I'll have to tweet it.
You'd probably hear if Mount Rainier erupted, though.
Maybe.
That'd probably show up on the news. Well, fascinating
probably.
stuff. So I guess we'll stay tuned and just see what happens, huh?
Yeah, so we'll kind of keep an eye on it. I mean, it's a fairly regular volcano. They're able to, the scientists watch this one as kind of an idea of a safe place to watch volcanoes and what they're doing. So in the end, it's, there's a whole bunch of lava swelling up, but it's like blowing into an invisible balloon. You don't know how big the balloon is or how small it is. Right. So any breath could make it pop, or you may be 3,000 breaths away.
So maybe, hopefully it's more breaths than less.
Yeah.
So we talk about painless shots.
Yes, everyone wants shots to be less painless, especially if you have to deal with little kids with it.
Yeah.
Because, they're not fond of needles.
No.
Most people aren't. There is a new laser-based system that blasts microscopic jets of drugs into the skin.
Wow.
That it could make shots about as painless as being hit with a puff of air.
Oh, I like this. So wow.
So what they're able to do is they're able to use
it's like a hypo spray. It's a hypo spray.
Kind of. They use a laser wavelength that's not absorbed by water so much, and it drives the liquid. It kind of makes a tiny shock wave. It's able to disperse the energy and put it into a vapor bowl. And then there's other wavelengths that can absorb the water and create stable vapor bubbles.
Wow.
So
this is pretty cool. So this is interesting. So it's like forcing the fluid through the skin, not necessarily ripping the skin, though.
No. This is literally it's actually commonly used by dermatologists already.
Okay.
Apparently as a facial aesthetic treatment, but it's of course
lasers get involved with that at first. That just figures.
Yeah. So the liquid is, the water is driving the fluid in, with a laser and just being able to generate the right amount of pressure so it is able to pass through the membrane of your skin. So it's the tensile strength there. So it can smoothly penetrate right through that underneath the skin. They're able to kind of aim how far underneath the skin they can go depending on the the strength of the laser and how far they're going to puff it in. They've actually been able to test it on guinea pig skin, and they can see the jet penetrated up to several millimeters below the skin surface.
No kidding.
With no damage to the tissue, and it's it creates a tiny narrow jet. It's little no pain. It's injecting into a part of the skin that doesn't have nerve endings. So it's this combination of. Now, as of right now, they say hypodermic needles are still the first choice because of, precision, control, ease of use. But this is another step towards that direction where you have, something that's essentially boiling the drug and sort of getting it to go into your skin so that you can absorb it.
Go science.
Yep. And it's less than a millionth of a meter, like a micrometer. So it's a little larger than the width of a human hair. So that's the nozzle that's shooting it out.
Huh. I can't wait to see this show up in general practice.
Yeah.
Now that could be a while.
Yes. There's going to be. They're looking for low-cost replacement injectors. Because it needs to be able to be replaceable, sort of mass-produced, and it's going to be several years at least. They've got to adopt it for mass vaccinations. So there will be a while, especially one of these things where it's essentially testing on humans. Now, it is only a device, so it's not quite as much as a drug. And with this, it's, not a lot of, not really any damage. So I would hope that it would kind of be on a little faster pace.
So it's a little less risky because it's not something it's not like a medication that's going to be mass distributed or something like that.
Yeah, it's how it responds to skin.
Like Josh in the chat room saying, I'm not a huge fan on needles, but I can't see this being in general use within the next decade.
Yeah.
Maybe not in general use, but maybe starting to become in use. It could almost be like one of those things where the doctors have the option, and then patients will start selecting doctors who have it because they want a more gentler treatment, and then those doctors will start getting more customers, and then they'll start to make adoption that way.
Yeah, and it'll start in specific areas where, drugs that can be injected this way more easily. My mother has allergy meds that it's just a tiny little needle pop it in her arm. So that kind of a thing might be a little bit easier than, say, a different shot that needs to go a little bit deeper into the muscle, like a tetanus shot or something like that. So that'll be different, different drugs that can be involved sooner or later. And some things that will, for the near to mid future, still need needles.
It seems faster too. So I could see how application in they're pointing out, Josh is pointing out maybe for vaccines. I could see in trips to Africa where you're trying to do mass vaccinations, have something quicker that, where you don't have the risk of spreading AIDS with needles and things like that. That could be a huge benefit. But also military use. The military could distribute and start using something like this much faster. And vaccination and all of those things are a huge part of the service. And that would be, I'm sure people in the service would appreciate that a lot. Less pain is always a good thing.
Well, you take what you can get, and if it's, like you said, if they're able to adopt it for mass vaccinations, then it is fast. It's like there's no touching the person's blood or anything like that, so it reduces reverse contamination. So
yeah, I mean that's huge for some areas of the world.
Yeah.
Forward to that. All right, Heather, should we move on to the 2-Byte News?
2-Byte News.
2-Byte News on SciByte 63. On SciByte 63.
SciByte.
No, we kind of ran out of song there, didn't we?
That's okay.
All right, what's our first story in the 2-Byte News?
Tooth protection. Some Japanese scientists have actually created a microscopically thin, it's like 0.00016 inches.
Okay.
That can actually coat individual teeth to prevent decay, make them look wider.
Oh. So
it's hard wearing. It's ultra flexible. It's made from hydroxy apatite. I know I butchered that. Sorry, people in that science community.
Quadrotriticale, I believe is the word.
Oh. Okay, but it's the main mineral used that's in tooth enamel. So what they were able to do is what they did was, it's hard to kind of gather this. So they were able to shoot lasers at some of this, vaporize it, put it on like a sugar, surface, a stratus, then melt the sugar away. Then they have this really thin film of this stuff.
Wow, this is awesome. You sold me with laser.
Yeah, lasers.
That's great. Boy, 2 laser stories in a row.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's going to be 5 or more years before it's actually used in practical dental treatments, covering exposed dentin, sensitive, layers underneath. Now, one of the people that was a scientist that was working on this kind of, in one of the articles, said kind of off the cuff, yeah, I totally use it on me way before anybody else. Like, kind of indicating that he may have already tried it on his own teeth. He's like, hey, I trust myself.
Yeah, well, good for him. I mean, there's some truth to that, because sometimes if you just want to find out if it works, I mean, this is what I always see in the movies, although sometimes it also creates superheroes. Like, maybe he has superpower now. Like, he might have like James Bond villain teeth for all he knows.
Oh.
Just don't know. Well, yeah. I have this little flashing light here. See this?
Oh, yeah?
Oh. SciByte Computer is printing out old school style some updates for us.
That is right. The Higgs-Boson. We've talked about it quite a number of times. That, they saw something in the right zone. It was a boson. They haven't labeled it as a Higgs-Boson yet.
Oh, okay.
It had all the energies. They weren't able to tell the exact characteristics. So they don't know how the spin or the mass. So they're kind of waiting to see how they can get data from that. Now, that was a little over about 2 months ago.
Right.
So everyone pretty much said, yes, we believe. But now, like, the next step has come. They're able to publish it in a peer-reviewed journal. So it's kind of the next step of everyone is able to look more closely at what they did. Sort of, it's just one of the benchmarks in science where they take another step closer to scientists actually admitting and saying yes.
And other scientists have looked at it and said, you know what, we look at what they've done, and we look at the data, and we agree, right? It's kind of, or we disagree, but in this case, it's we agree, right? Isn't that what I'm getting?
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, before this even was published, everyone was pretty much saying, I agree.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those benchmarks. Scientists are we're very leery to say yes, definitively, period. It's more like a,
right.
Yeah,
well,
question
everything
mark,
indicates
dot,
that's
dot.
correct. All available data that I have suggests that is a likely thesis to arrive at, but I cannot confirm that for sure.
Yeah, confirm nor deny.
Yeah.
So this is another step towards being able to more definitively say this is probably something.
Wow. Look at them go. They just get that thing going, and it's just moving right along. And it's awesome. And thank you for keeping us up to date on that.
Yeah, as we go along, I'm always interested about this specific particle. So
absolutely. You know, while we're talking about updates, oh, look at this. That's right. We got a spacecraft update, don't we?
Yes, the bittersweet last trip of the space shuttle whole program, the Endeavour, as it crosses the country. Now, as we are filming this, it's already been, the schedule's already been changed like 2 or 3 times because of weather.
Yeah.
So as of the filming of this, the plan is for it to launch at sunrise in Florida Wednesday morning.
This is why I just follow Heather on Twitter, because she just takes care of this little problem for me.
Yep, definitely check. There's links to my Twitter in the show notes. There is a hashtag Spot the Shuttle. Those are
nice.
It's updated by NASA, so you can actually see. I've got a couple of I know I've got one link to be able to show kind of, you know, in my Twitter feed about different websites you can go to. Cool. So I mean, in the end, it's going to launch one day at dawn in Florida. It'll head to, you know, do a couple of passes on its way across the Gulf Coast, land in Houston. It's actually going to stay there overnight.
Okay.
And then it'll fly.
Hang out with some friends. Have a few drinks.
Yep, everyone will come and take pictures. I saw somebody on a Twitter going, you know, is it terrible to say that I'm tempted to bring my 6-year-old off from a day of school to go see it? I don't think I will. And I was like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Johnny,
real life learning right there.
You're going to be sick tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm totally not, you know, saying,
you know, but it's not like you're taking your kid out of school to go see the space shuttle every day.
Yeah.
You're not doing that a lot. I would guess you're probably not doing that.
No, it was pretty much the last time that you're going to, you know,
see
it in Houston without
kind of by definition the last time.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. I think it's okay.
It'll stay overnight. It'll launch again at dawn. It'll fly to West Texas, land for a refuel, and then start its way to California. I believe it's going to take another passes at a couple different places, at one of the NASA stations over there, and then of course land and take its 12-mile trek through the city that we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of ongoing. There have been a couple of storms in the Gulf, which happens fairly often.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to wait for really clear weather for this for the shuttle carrier.
It's a big thing.
It is very large aircraft. So hopefully we're gonna see this cross, and it's kind of bittersweet. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some streaming. I'll put it up on my Twitter. So if you're not like me and not able to actually be there, you can at least get a consolation prize and stare at your computer and be like, wave at your computer screen.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what I do all the time now.
Well, you know.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay.
Okay.
Oh, very, very cool. Well, thank you for keeping us up to date on your Twitter feed. So go, folks, go find the links to that in the show notes. All right, now we have a touchdown, don't we?
Yes. Expedition 32, that is the name of the International Space Station crew. They come in 3-man crews, kind of rotate in and out, and this one just landed on Monday the 17th Kazakhstan, at Kazakhstan time, it was Monday night. So good health, good spirits. 2 Russian cosmonauts and an American astronaut landed back. It was kind of funny. They signed their little spacecraft. It's heading to a museum, Russian museum.
Aw.
So they had a 125-day mission. Started in mid-May. Now it was actually supposed to start in March, but they had some pressure test incident, as they say, cracked in one of their capsules. In the Soyuz capsules, there was a bit of a delay and an error there. So they delayed, had a 6-week delay. Then the spacecraft was ready again. So they launched May 14th, and it was just like a week before SpaceX's Dragon capsule docked. I was like, wow, it's been that long.
And touchdown confirmed. The soft landing engines firing. The touchdown has occurred at 9:53 p.m. Central Time.
It looked like a rough landing. I agree with aviator continuity. I mean, that they hit the ground hard, it looked like.
Okay, now, in case you don't know, the dust flies up and everyone cringes and look, that's not them hitting the ground that hard. They actually have some last-second rockets that blast down at the, literally the last moment that they can manage it, which throws a whole bunch of dust in the air. It's kind of to cushion what they can. But, yeah, they are falling from space in a capsule and landing on the ground.
There is that, which is just kind of hard to work around in that scenario.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do there. This is the crew, probably talked about it a week or two ago, where it was, they're changing out a part on the space station and a bolt broke off and was stuck. And so they went back in and, like Apollo 13 style, came up with a fix, of a couple, like a toothbrush that they kind of bent the bristles on, and they were able to kind of scrape the bolt out, clean all the shavings out, and be able to complete the replacement of a power unit.
I love it. I just love it. That's so great. I mean, I wish I could watch all this stuff live. I wish you just could go to one page and just all this kind of spacey stuff that's going on would just always be streaming. I'd love to see this as it happens. Maybe it was streamed. I just didn't see any feeds or any announcements anywhere.
Yeah, a lot of the big stuff gets fed on NASA's stream, but not everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be just, like, a lot of times they also are streaming educational films or past, historical videos. So a good deal of the time, I'd like to say they actually show all the spacewalks for the station, because it's our only spacewalking place now. But so they handed over the control that they've landed to the next crew, Expedition 33. So they'll be there until November 12th. And they'll actually be by themselves until about mid-October, when another 3 astronauts are able to come up. And they'll bring a whole bunch of supplies and bring the space station crew back up to 6 members.
Now, that I look forward to, although it sounds like they're going to have themselves a little alone time. Maybe that's nice. However, in the meantime, what's got me scratching my head, Heather, and maybe you can give me maybe you can set me straight, because what I'm seeing on the surface of Mars right now appear to be hatchling eggs or something like that of some sort of superior alien race that's probably coming to life on Mars right now as we record this show. Do you think maybe I'm right?
Scientists are scratching their head too.
They are, aren't they? What do they think?
Literally. This is from Opportunity rover. This is our little guy that keeps on trucking. Landed in 2004, and this is the first time that they've seen anything like this. It's these strange spherical rock formations that, we've had what they call blueberries before, and that's concentrations of minerals that happen in water when they settle into sedimentary rock. At first, they kind of looked at it and said, oh, it must be that. And then they looked back and said, no, wait, it's actually not.
How can they do anything to determine what it is with that rover that they have?
Now, they're able to take microscopic images. They're able to put up and do certain amount of stuff. So, they're able to, some of them they're able to see that they've got odd concentric rings inside, kind of crunchy outside, soft in the middle. So they're able to use the arm to reach out and take these photographs. They might, I don't remember off the top of my head now if they have the drill, but there is only so much they can do.
They're almost gross in a way.
Yeah. So, but there's a whole bunch of different ideas coming out. So none of them particularly are popping out as the definite.
How interesting. Oh, I can't wait to hear all the conspiracy theories.
Yes, but
yeah,
this
is going to
actually
be a fun one.
So, landed in 2004, it's 2012. This is one of the most extraordinary pictures of the whole mission now.
Yeah.
This is like one of the big ones.
This is
after
really
all
big.
This time.
This is really big, and it's, yeah, like you said, after all this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's still doing good on power, too. This is spring equinox coming up for Mars, so they're going to have increased power available. And it's, they're sitting at about the same power that they had last year about this time. Or a whole Martian year ago. So they've got a lot of power. They're going to look at this as much as they can, get as much science out of this as they can. And they've already picked another rock that they're going to head to next.
So they're just going to keep on utilizing that thing and figure out what the heck it is. The chat room's got all kinds of theories, so I'm curious to find out. I'm curious to find out what it is.
Yeah, we'll have to see if scientists agree or if, as a lot of science goes, they disagree a lot. And you never know. So I'm looking forward to see if they actually figure out and they can actually come to some sort of a consensus.
We'll see.
And no Avatar continuum, they're not covering the planet in bubble wrap.
Could be a big alien conspiracy to ram it into Earth.
Okay, speaking on behalf of science, I'm pretty certain Martians are not bubble wrapping Mars to ram into Earth.
Now, I have one really important question for you.
Okay.
Can I play the Curiosity rover update jingle?
Go ahead.
And liftoff of the Atlas V with Curiosity.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
There we go. See, that jingle just gives me the chance to get my daily exercise when I'm jumping up and down.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't go too long without you being able to play the jingle.
All right, so what is
the Mars jingle?
I know, and it's just like it's a great opportunity to learn a little bit about the Curiosity rover, so it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So what's up?
Yeah, so they're continuing to test out the scientific instruments on the arm. I don't remember if I told you about the last week. The Alpha Particle X-ray Spectrometer finished its testing. It's able to analyze mineralogy of samples. They kind of pick up a bit of dirt, dump it into this is an instrument inside the rover itself. They're able to shine X-rays at it and able to see kind of how the light scatters and able to tell the minerals in that sample from that.
Huh.
They have a new panorama. Of course, Curiosity has a lot of pictures, so you should go over to the show notes and click links because there's all sorts of pretties.
It's unbelievable how many pictures there are.
A kajillion.
Yeah.
As a scientific
number. Right.
Yeah. So there's a new panorama that you can actually zoom. It's like huge, and you can zoom in to see individual rocks. They're nearly completed with their arm tests, testing out all the instruments of the arm, how it moves. So once they finish those up, then the rover will be able to start. They're going to go up and examine their first rock.
What's the deal with the penny they have on this thing? Why don't I know about this?
They say it is a calibration device.
Right, so they're taking a picture of the penny and then calibrating to, but that doesn't seem like, it seems like it could get dusty or, something like that.
Well, yeah, you can actually see some of the fine dust on there, and in one of the articles it explains, see the little particle under Lincoln's ear? That is this big. It's really, really small. But yeah, one of the scientists on the mission actually bought that penny. It has a significance. I don't recall, but he bought the penny with his own money and then was like, okay, we need a calibration tool. Let's put this on there.
I noticed it was a 1909 penny.
Yes,
So
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, that's probably part of the significance there. Very cool.
So they're going to have to drive a little bit to find their first rock to analyze. So they're getting ready for that, probably kind of looking out at their panoramas, trying to decide along the path of where they're heading towards the foothills of Mount Sharp, where they can kind of look at something. They're able to look kind of in the distance as well, and able to see kind of some of the terrain that they'll have to go through. And some of it looks like some big dunes.
Hmm.
So kind of planning ahead, going, let's see. Now, if you look in the video for this week's Curiosity rover reports, there's a guy and his family kind of standing around, and what it is he took, Mars has 24 hours and 24 minutes, so it's it's a little bit extra,
Right.
every day. So what his family did was all the teams have to show up for work like 40 minutes later every day. So they start rolling time. So suddenly they're days in the middle of the night. And so his family joined in with him for a month.
Wow.
Saying, kids, mom, dad, everybody started waking up and going to bed at the same time.
What's neat is it looks like they all had apps to keep track of the rolling time, so they had a Mars clock on their phones.
Yep, there are apps that you can have. It'll tell you what Mars time is and what Earth time is, various places. So,
so Mohawk guy and Mars time guy.
Mars time guy.
That's nice, right?
Everyone's going to have their nickname officially branded by Chris.
So this week's YouTube video, you can find a link to it in the show notes, is hosted by Mars time guy. And you can see his adorable family eating at a very conspicuously placed IHOP right in the middle of the video with the logo right there. But, maybe IHOP, maybe IHOP got in on it or something.
I don't know.
I don't know what it is. So that's really cool. Any other things on the Curiosity rover update?
No, just kind of plugging away. We're almost complete with all the test out. So I'm looking forward to that finishing. Looks like everything's going to go smoothly, and then we'll start really rolling along.
I can't wait. Can't wait. I'm sure somehow we'll be talking about it on this show.
Yeah, there may be a chance that I may be talking about Curiosity in the future.
Possibly. All right, then. Well, why don't we recalibrate the SciByte computers and... Whoop, not that one, Heather. Not that one. No, not at all. We need to actually look up into the sky this week.
Oh, yes. We have this week, Wednesday, just to the right of the moon, you'll be able to see Mars. It's going to be really close. In fact, around twilight. In fact, certain parts of Central and Southern America will actually be able to see the moon occult or cover Mars right before sunset. So you're able to, if you're in those areas, you'll be able to see it sort of black out right behind the moon.
Oh, okay.
So as we move on to Thursday evening, you're going to see the star Antares to the lower left of the moon. This time it is not Mars. And as we roll into Saturday, we're actually getting into the autumn equinox. So autumn will officially begin in northern hemisphere, and spring will start in the southern hemisphere. This is when the center of the sun crosses the equator. So straight noon at the equator, it's which side of the of vertical is it? Is it to the north or is it to the south? And this time it crosses and goes to the south. So that's where we're heading into now. Venus is going to be visible about 2 hours before dawn this week. Going to rise in the east-northeast, start moving high to the east about dawn. Mars and Saturn, we'll be hearing about them a lot. They're still going to be low in the southwest to mid-southwest about sunset. And Jupiter, another awesome planet, is going to be around about 11 p.m., whatever your time is in the U.S. at least.
Okay.
Going to be rising in the east-northeast with Aldebaran. That's another red star. So it's not with Mars, but it's just a bright red star to the right of it. And it's going to be, you'll be able to see that once they're clear of the horizon. And by dawn, it's actually going to be moved to the south.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, there you go. That's all listed out in the show notes, too. If you see something you can't quite remember what Heather said, you can just find it there. Well, thank you for doing that, Heather. I had time to brush off all of the Martian snow off the time machine. So let's jump in. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
Close the door. Here we go.
Oh, I almost forgot it.
All right. Okay. There we go. It's good to go back in time. This trip takes us to 166 years ago, September 23rd, 1846. Heather, what happened in science this week?
Neptune was discovered. So we have a German astronomer, Johann Galle, actually discovered it after searching for it for an hour.
He had a purpose. He said, I'm not gonna get up from this chair until I find a planet.
Now he and another English astronomer had already calculated rough size and position of this unknown planet. They kind of knew about where it should be, and he said he knew kind of a degree within a degree of its position that he'd kind of computed. So they knew pretty much where they wanted to look for. So he just had to look in a specific area, and based on his calculations that luckily worked for him, he didn't have to search that long actually.
Well, look at him go. Did the homework up front, and he was able to zero in on it. That's very awesome. So there you go. Neptune was discovered this week in science 166 years ago. Happy birthday, Neptune. Well, birthday.
Discovery.
Discovery, birth. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Heather, I think that's our full show, yeah?
I think that might be.
All right, everyone. Well, SciByte is live on Tuesdays. And we've even gone to the trouble now of adding the live times to the show notes. A few folks would like to join us. Finally got around to doing that. 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 a.m. UTC. Well, good for you UTC folks. We also make every episode available on demand over at JupiterBroadcasting.com every Wednesday morning. Heather, thank you for the great show.
Thank you.
And thank you to the chat room for joining this week. And we hope to see you guys right back here next week.